Greetings, everybody. This is TimeRider with a little midweek mischief. This, of course, is a copy of the vintage series, Red Baron. I don't know why it's yellow. Originally released in 1970, modeled after a Tom Daniels design. It was Spectraflame Red, and then it was re-released in 73 and 74 with more of an enamel finish. And it made it all the way into the Blackline era, and then, of course, when they released the vintage versions of it, like this one, they started painting them all different colors, and I'm not really sure why. This is going to be one of my re-releases that I'm going to bring back to Spectraflame Original, so stick around. You know, when my good friend Mike gave me these three castings, I wasn't really sure what to do with them. This one's held together by two spun posts. I mean, you know, I'm not a collector, really. I'm, you know, a hobbyist, so I threw them on a shelf figuring someday I'd think of something to do with them, and then, you know, along comes coronavirus, and all of a sudden I'm looking for projects, and I want them to be diverse. And the idea came to me to strip these and make them back into more real red lines. Came apart pretty easy. Well, sort of easy. I was afraid. I didn't want to bend the wheels. You know, a lot of times when I take apart new Hot Wheels, I don't care. But in this case, it was really important to me that the wheels remained intact. And that helmet was it was one of the posts, and so was the engine. So I have to clean them up a little bit so that they'll go through the holes easily. But I always do that. The model kit for the Red Baron was actually released in 1967. And don't ask me where the footage of me throwing it in the stripper is. I don't know. And anyway, it's interesting that because the model was reverse engineered. Usually, Hot Wheels would make cars out of make toys out of existing cars, and in this case, this started off as a model kit, and later wound up as a car. Mattel bought Monogram models in 1968, and that's how they began producing Tom Daniels designs. We'll clean up the casting a little bit here. It turned out to be disastrous, though, because toy companies shouldn't build scale models. And then I had to very carefully, mind you, drill this out so that I could tap it. I had to do the engine too. I apologize, I don't have a lot of footage of this, but there you can see the helmet with the button screw in it. And the casting, like the other two, was actually pretty good. Once I got the paint off it and cleaned up the casting lines a little, it was just a matter of polishing it some. Now this helmet, on the other hand, holy smokes, what a hunk of junk that was. The one side was just horrible. But I wanted it to look good, so I figured, what the heck, I got nothing to lose by filing it and then, you know, polishing it. And then once I got it all said and done, and cleaned it off, I really got to looking at it. There's copper there. That means this is probably nickel. So I plated it with nickel. And you know me, I'm not a big fan of plating, but you know what? I like plating nickel. But you need to plate it over other nickel, or you need to plate it over copper. You don't want to plate it over zinc. It doesn't stick very well. And that's not from me. That's from a friend of mine who plated for a living for 30 years. This didn't turn out too bad, though. And I had actually purchased some decals for it. I was not happy with the decals at all. Once I got them on, I thought they just detracted from the helmet. I'm not even really going to say where I got them because it's not important. But you can see that nickel is polishing up real good. The engine in the final result bucket was actually a 6-cylinder Pontiac. Tom Daniels had used like a Mercedes plane engine, and the scale of the actual engine wasn't going to work in a bucket. That looks pretty good. As my buddy down south would say, or down under I should say, I'm happy with that. So let's go back and take a look at this original one again, because, you know, I got to be really honest with you. I'm not sure why they painted the doggone thing yellow. They never painted it yellow up until this point, and I've never heard of the Yellow Baron. So as it's spinning around, though, you can kind of see how bad that helmet is. And it didn't turn out perfect in the end result, but it turned out much, much better than it started out as. So let's take a look at where I wound up. Well, and there you have it. The Redline Re-Release of the Red Baron, redone in the original Spectra Flame Red. I really like it. I think it looks pretty good. There will be an episode of The Bench following the video for those that like that kind of thing. Thumb up, thumb down, doesn't matter to me. Please keep your comments respectful. This is TimeRider, and I'll leave the light on for you. Hey everybody, thanks for sticking around for this edition of The Bench. Hey, if you're I still have 2 castings left on this 1964 Chevrolet Impala Memorial Day build. So if you shoot me an email, you're interested, I'll send you a casting. You can join the Catman and Diecast Outcast and Jim Silva and I as we build these 64 Impalas. I also am amazed at the number of people that are building with the 3 Blind Mice this month. I think it's just great. If you don't see your name sliding across the screen and you want to be a part of this, it's not too late. Let Paul, George, or myself know. I've also been working on a pair of Indie Eagle red lines. I'm not quite sure when the video will hit the channel because I got a lot of projects going on, but let me tell you, they're turning out really good. And then this 65, I think it is. Maybe it's a 66. I don't know. This Mustang Fastback here that I'm working on, I picked it up at the grocery store. You know, some cars just look good in primer. Of course, I kind of scratched the primer up putting it back together. But that said, that's all I got for you. This is TimeRider. I hope everybody's well. Look forward to seeing you at the next video. Take care and be safe.